Hey, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai by Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great millstone, peace, and blessing to you, brothers, pushing the truth throughout the four winds. I was reading in First Maccabees and just inspired by the Spirit to actually make this video, basically going into belief and faith. You know, we know the scriptures say things that were written for a time were for our learning. You know, and it's just not for our learning. It's showing experience. You know, when our forefathers were put in places of where their backs were to the wall and cornered, you had to trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, and you actually were brought through those situations. You know, so sometimes it was to the death. You know, but it has to be that unfeigned faith that's pushed off. You got to believe in this thing with everything that's in you. Everything that's in you, you have to believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. You know, you can't have an ounce of doubt. You know, and that's what this walk is about, man. Just consistently walking and moving with intention. So, this is First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 51. It says, "Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time, so shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name." So everything you do, what he was, you know, telling them, everything you do, realize is going to be remembered, you know. And not just so much for remembrance, just know back then your name held weight. You know, you don't want to go out and be looked upon as a coward or things of that nature. You know, you had to have a strong name. You know, your name meant something and it held weight, you know. You know, and these things, reading these things, it's a confidence booster, but it's only a confidence booster when you're put in those situations and you have to think and move a particular way. Okay. 52, was not Abraham found faithful in temptation, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness? So he did, through faith, by trusting in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he was found faithful. You know, he was found to where that's the way you're supposed to move. And we have to pray for that spirit, that the Lord gives us that spirit to always remain solid in all situations. You know, Joseph, in the time of distress, kept the commandment and was made Lord of Egypt. You remember the story of Joseph, you know. He was lied upon, thrown in jail for a couple years, but he came out, you know, right where he was supposed to be. And those things and times are really places of really where you get to, it's almost like suffering. You know, could you imagine being locked up for something you didn't do, but you keep holding on regardless because you understand that the Lord is going to bring you through that and you're going to come out on top on the other side. You know, so understanding that sometimes we go through rough patches, but we have to remain faithful and pray and fast and understand that this is the lot. You know, this is a part of this captivity that we're in. You have to understand that, okay? Phineas, our father, in being zealous and fervent, obtained the covenant of an everlasting priesthood. Okay, so you have to be in a steady mind state of having that zeal of Yahweh Shem Yahushai according to faith and being faithful. Okay, Yahushai, for fulfilling the word, was made a judge in Israel. You know, notice every time it's almost like you're going to go through that struggle spot and it's always a reward at the end. So these are the things that we have to understand, that everything we go through and everything that happens, it's going to be worth it. Okay. 56. Caleb, for bearing witness before the congregation, received the heritage of the land. Some of these positions that these great men, our forefathers, were put in, some of these positions were tough positions to be in, because we got to keep in mind as well, they were dealing with flesh as well. And this flesh, sometimes it doesn't want to be put in positions to where you're uncomfortable. That's why it's good to fast and tame the flesh from like eating. If you can control eating with the body, you can control anything, because your body consistently wants to feed itself and overindulge in eating. Okay, so when you can get that under control, it does something to the mind to where you understand, man, I can get past about anything if I can discipline myself from just eating all the time. Because you get those pains, you get those like, man, your stomach growling, and you have to build yourself up mentally to understand that the mission is greater than how you're feeling. Okay. David, for being merciful, possessed the throne of an everlasting kingdom. Okay. Elias, for being zealous and fervent for the law, was taken up into heaven. Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, by believing, were saved out of the flame. Okay, Daniel, for his innocency, was delivered from the mouth of lions. Okay, it says, and thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. So when you put your trust in Yahweh Shem Yahshua and you have faith in those critical moments and you don't fold, that's what it's all about, having faith and being faithful. Anybody can just fold, but you don't want to fold. You want to remain solid. Just remain solid and do what it is and what it takes through Yahweh Shem Yahshua to get across. With that, I'm going to say shalom.